because I just wanted to know more about the policy because I read about it, but I didn't know. So, like, what is the new policy all about, I guess?
Yeah. So as of this past fall, they changed the policy to say that if you become pregnant while being a residential student, that you're able to stay in your residential halls. Um, if you ask Liberty, they kind of have a different story about how it is. But I mean, people were consistently removed from the residence halls before the policy change. So I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah. What made you guys like look into that old policy and
Yeah.
or like find it? I guess in a way.
Yeah. So what we did was there is with Students for Life something called the Pregnant on Campus Initiative, and how that works is it aims to make college campuses more friendly to parenting and pregnant students. Because the idea is, if you take away the reasons why girls have abortions, there'll be less abortions, and if you properly support people, they don't have a need to go to an abortion clinic and make that decision. And so we are wondering, how can we implement that on Liberty? How can we make it easier for students to choose life rather than choose abortion? And so this was just kind of one of the ideas. And then after a little more digging, I realized that the policy of removing them from the dorms was a violation of Title IX. Yeah, and so then I kind of went through that office, and that's kind of how things started, the ball was rolling.
Wow. So I know that you had a lot of challenges, and why do you think there was a lot of confusion between like Title IX and just Liberty's administration in general? Like a lot of people just didn't know what was going on or what was being said. Why do you think that confusion?
Yeah, Liberty will tell you that the only reason why they said it was an outdated policy that had been changed a long time ago but was still being enforced because of miscommunications. Now, if you ask me, I was consistently told that, I was never told that it was a policy to allow them to stay. They were always told me it was case by case, or they just ignored me. And I think one of the reasons why it was so difficult to deal with all that is because Liberty's a big organization. There are many people on the rolls and many different departments that work independently and together, and it's hard. When you have a big, big groups have big problems. So I think that's why it was so hard. But I do think that there is an attitude among some that we don't want Liberty students having sex, and that it's embarrassing that they would. And obviously, if you get pregnant, that's very obvious that something led up to that. And so I think that's where it comes from. I think that's a shame. I always tell people, pregnancy is not a sin. So I think it's just an old-fashioned idea. And I'm very committed to. I'm a very religious person. that. So I'm committed to that idea of abstinence, but it's not an excuse to make life hell for pregnant students.
Wow, that's so good. What are your guys' like next steps with the policy, or future policies that you'd like to see in the school or something like that?
Yeah. So as far as this policy, it's just making sure they actually enforce it. If someone gets kicked out of their dorm, tell me, and I'll be your best friend. And then as far as kind of new ideas. Where one of the ideas we've had, and we might do this semester or next semester, is trying to allow parenting students to register for classes early. Yeah, because they have busier schedules than athletes, and athletes are allowed to pick early, so.
Wow.
Yeah, and that would also, and there's a practical reason for that, in addition to wanting to serve them and say, your life's already hard enough. The idea that it's a lot easier to secure childcare the earlier you know when your classes are. And that's one of the biggest obstacles to parenting students finding reliable childcare is that often all the daycare spots are filled up by the time that they register for classes.
Yeah.
So.
Wow, thank you so much. I think that's all that I would love to. I guess for last one, like the heart behind your guys' club, like why you, the passion behind it, I guess.
Yeah.
That's the question.
So our goal as a Students for Life group is to end abortion in our lifetime. And when we talk about ending abortion, it's not about making abortion illegal, but what it's about is eliminating any reason someone would want to get an abortion. Because when we make abortion unthinkable, that's really when abortion ends. So we want to take away any reason. So, lack of housing, we're going to solve that. You know, lack of support, we want to solve that. We want to be the people who say, you don't have to have an abortion, we're going to help you choose life. And that involves a lot of mind stuff, but involves a lot of practical being the hands and feet of Christ and serving our fellow students. So.
Wow. Thank you so much. It's
Mhm.
so good to see you again.